My name is Damon. I've been around marijuana for a long time, since I was about 15. Didn't start smoking it until I was 19 because I bought into the propaganda that people that were tweaking, that were on methamphetamine, that were smoking joints at the same time were actually picking at their skin. They were changing the front door to the side of the house. They were doing all kinds of shit, tearing up things. I'm a little nervous, guys. Back in 2008, I had the TPD coming to my house. I wasn't at home. It happened on a Tuesday. I was home Monday all day. I had a plumber come out. I had a backup issue in my bathtub. Okay, these cops that came in my house the next day made sure that I wasn't at home. When I wasn't at home, my neighbor comes down the block and sees a guy, 6 or 7 guys, plain clothed, on my steps. He calls me, "What's going on?" I said, "What's going on? Please go to my house. Find out what are they on my porch for?" He approaches them. They drew a gun on him. Said they were Tulsa police officers. He said, "Well, I got the homeowner on the phone, Damon. This is his house. He wants to know what's going on." He's like, "Well, put him on the phone." They put me on the phone, or he puts the phone on with it. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is scary because 7 years hasn't been up. 7 years, the statute of limitation falls next March. Okay. They came in my house unannounced. Nobody was at home. They made sure my kids were at school. I was at work. I'm a single dad. 12 years I've been raising my kids by myself. This is very scary to come out and say. But when they came in my house, like I said, they made sure I wasn't at home. And I get the call. They tell me to come home and open up my safe. They wanted in my safe. I rushed home. I actually called my mom. My mom and them drove from Owasso, met me at my sister's house. I dropped my car and things that I knew they would automatically take, and they drove me to my house. I was going to turn myself in. I walk in my house. All these guys are smiling and cracking jokes and having a good time. They got all my weed. I had weed. I had 10.5 pounds of marijuana. It's not like I'm a drug dealer or a bad guy. I kept good weed when it was good weed for the people that wanted good weed. You know what I mean? I'm not a criminal by any means. But I had this. And they had it on my dining room table. They sat there. Never once did I see a handcuff on my arm. Never once did they say I was going to jail. Instead, they wanted to know where my $10,000 to $20,000 was hidden in my house. Whoever was that told on me told them that I had $10,000 or $20,000 in my house. And that's all they were worried about was the money. They wanted to steal from me. Okay? Anyway, so I told them I had no money. I'm not no drug dealer. Any money that I did make off this, I sold it so cheap for the people. I made change off of it. I made my weed for free because I'm a single dad and I can't afford it. This is the only way that I could afford it. I'm sorry that I'm a devil, but I'm gonna be a devil, okay? Then, when I told them and I looked them square in their eyes and I told them I couldn't, they wanted me to give 3 names. They wanted me to roll over on 3 people. I sat there at my dining room table and told them I couldn't do what somebody else did to me. Not only that, but there was no change. There was no big guys I was dealing with. It wasn't like that. It was the furthest from the truth. So they left my house that day. Never seen a handcuff, not one. I had a gun in my house that I never fired, that was gifted to me, that was given to me. I don't have guns. I just happen to have the little 2-shot Derringer at my house. They knew all about my gun. They confiscated my gun. I got a letter in the mail about 2 months later saying that I can come get my confiscated gun, which I said, I don't want the gun, don't worry about it. But they stole from me. They stole from me. Who is the criminal? For me selling weed? Or them for breaking in my house and stealing my weed from me? Who's the criminal? That's what I want to know. It's been 6.5 years since they came into my house. Okay, about a month after, they had made a phone call, wanting me to work with them. I set my daughter down. I have my 3 kids over here. This is my daughter, Casey. She's 15. My oldest is sitting on the ground. She's 16, Alyssa. And my daughter, 12. I got good human beings that I'm bringing up in this world, and I smoke the hell out of weed. How is that possible? I have good human beings that I'm bringing up in this world. I set my daughter, this back in 2008, so she was young. I told her the truth. What it is that I have been doing, that I was looking at prison time, you know what I mean, that I couldn't do what somebody had done to me. There was no way, especially if somebody had kids. If you had kids, how could you do that to me? I'm the good guy. I'm the guy that holds the door for everybody. I don't care if you're black, white, young, old. I don't care. I treat you all the same. I'm good people. You need more like me in this world. But what they did to me was criminal. Okay, and it's been almost 7 years. I'm waiting for the date. We were going to move to Colorado. We were going to move to Colorado this year, uproot and move my kids and probably live it out of a motel. We didn't know. That's what we were willing to do to get away. It's been 6.5 years. Them guys haven't contacted me. They came to my house back in February of this year. Recently, just February of this year. These guys came up to my doors. My kids would tell you. 2 guys, plain clothes, out of nowhere, show up at my house in February. Okay, I had seen them there a month before, but thought nothing of it. Didn't think. They had drove by the house, got out, started to approach me when I came out the house. I said, what do y'all need? They said, Gerald. Does Gerald live here? I was like, Gerald doesn't live here. He leaves. 2 months later, they show up. They said, well, you probably know who we are. They flashed the badge. Okay. Yeah. He's like, you've been in trouble with us before. Well, yeah, I've been in trouble with you before. You know, back in 2000, well, back when I was 25, I had a misdemeanor marijuana charge on my record. That's it. The only trouble I've ever been in trouble in my whole entire life, a misdemeanor marijuana charge, 25. I'm 37. So these guys, like I said, they came in my house. They stole from me. The guy's name was Woody, and I'm going to put him out there. I don't care. I don't care. His name was Woody. I don't know his last name, but there were 6 other guys there with him, and they all still are on the force. They're still working out there doing the same thing that they did to me. Guaranteed. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. That's what I said. They wanted me to work with them. 30 days later, I stopped answering their damn phone calls. I went cold turkey and told my daughter that, you know what, I was going to go to prison. And that day, I haven't heard nothing, but this, like I said, in February, they showed up at my house. Okay, when they came to my house, they said that there were strange odors coming from my house, that I possibly have a meth lab in my house. It's crazy. Meth in my house. I don't think so. Anyway, I was scared until they mentioned meth. When they mentioned meth, it's like, you guys are so far that way and I'm so far this way. I wasn't sweating them. But the thing is, I need to get this out. I need to let the people know this is a weight and a burden that I've been carrying on my shoulders for a very long time. It's hard to deal with this. I call it the Great Depression. And the only thing that helps me is marijuana. And I get to smoke it, but then I can't even enjoy it. I can't even enjoy it. I can't get rid of my depression because I still have this cloud that looms over me. And it shouldn't be there. So that's what I just wanted to tell my story. But if you hear my name is Damon Beck. Please don't keep them from coming getting me, because 7 years next year is statutes of limitation. I've already looked it up.